Here's something that's also angering people, and that is this. The Telegraph newspaper revealing that 4 billion quid a year of student loans are being given out to foreign nationals, with the cost of lending to students who are not from Britain or the EU ballooning by 40% since 21 to 22. Let's have a reminder. This is the journalist for the New Statesman, Ollie Dugmore, talking on Question Time about university fees from his perspective as a British national.
Since I went to uni in 2012, just bear that figure in mind about my debt, 37.5 grand. Since I went to uni in 2012, the amount of interest, I did the sums before I got here, that I have accrued is £32,000. So was it missold to me when I was told it was going to cost me 9 grand a year? Yeah, I'd say so. On top of that, it's a regressive system. So if you're wealthy enough to pay the fees up front, to pay your 27k, you don't get charged interest. So if you're rich enough, you don't pay the same as me.
Well, you wouldn't get charged interest, of course, Ollie, if you paid it up front, because there'd be nothing to charge interest on. However, the broader point about the extortionate rates of fees for university is never far away from the news agenda. Let's speak with Tom Jones, Deputy Online Editor at The Critic, also Conservative Councillor too. Tom, good afternoon to you. Nice to have you with us. Of course, the heady days of free education are long gone, which, frankly, maybe I'm alone in this. I don't know. I always thought it was a bit odd that everyone thought it could be free forever. No matter how many people you sent to university, let somebody else pay for it regardless of the outcome. That, to me, always seemed like a flawed system. Has it gone too far the other way now, where it's just an unaffordable system?
Well, unfortunately, much like Mr. Dugmore, I can't recall a time when tertiary education was free either. So I've got quite a sizable debt that I've been paying off. I think the unsaid thing throughout this debate is actually that, frankly, we have too many people going to university. Because we have too many people going to university, the graduate earnings premium has dissipated, so it no longer exists. So we're no longer putting graduates in a position to pay back those loans in the first place. So actually, I think Ollie raises a very good point and a correct point and a right point. I think that students are being missold their student loans, and they are being missold to university. And frankly, I think we need a huge look at this system, because graduates are just not earning enough to pay off their student loans anymore.
Indeed. What about this point of foreign nationals? Because I think I'm right in saying that further education in this country is a kind of 40 billion quid industry, slightly more than that, I think, exported around the world. People come from all over the place to attend universities in this country. So there's an economic benefit to that. So it's those people, right, that are also getting loans. Presumably they still have to pay it back.
Yes. So basically, the cost of loans for students who are non-UK nationals was more than 4 billion, 24-25, according to the Telegraph. That's up from just over 3 billion, 21-22, I think. Anybody qualifies if you have settled status and have lived in Britain for 3 years before they start university. Now, only 56% of loans, I think, will be fully paid back, or we expect them to be fully paid back. EU students already owe 5 billion, I think, in unpaid loans. So we are looking at potentially the loss of billions of pounds out of the system here. And you touch on the basically the reliance of university. Part of the problem is here that successive governments, Conservative and Labour, have basically refused to increase the cost of university education because it's politically really toxic. And unfortunately, what that has resulted in a system where there are a lot of universities which are basically kept afloat by foreign students because they can charge foreign students more. And that's part of the reason that we're seeing a lot of provincial unis, places like Teesside, opening up campuses in London, which are basically, they're not really selling an education, they're selling a visa.
Yeah, as simple as that. Any chance this is going to, or is anyone substantially going to take a deep dive into this clearly messed up system that is clearly damaged and some might even say unworkable in the long term? It's only going to get more expensive. Who's calling this out?
Well, I think there is some good work out there actually. Obviously, Ollie Dugmore has been raising this, and we've covered it quite extensively. There is also, quite a lot of coverage and knowledge about how poor university finances are. We are probably no more than 5 years away from collapsing universities if everybody keeps the fees where they are. Um, and broadly, I think probably the next government, it's going to be the political class will wait until a university collapses or is on the brink of collapsing, possibly even two or three before they actually do anything. It's so low down on the political priorities list that I just don't think anybody's got the will to touch it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. Tom, thank you. Tom Jones, Deputy Online Editor at The Critic. He's also a Conservative councillor. What's interesting is that, of course, I think many people forget this, it was a Labour government that introduced tuition fees. I've always thought that was a rather sort of, I know you shouldn't glorify in moments where even opposition parties or parties you wouldn't support have done something that's made things more expensive for people, but the fact that, thank God it was a Labour government and not the Tories, because the Tories have always had, back to the class war that the Labour Party are trying to carve out, which they've always done with the Tories. They're rich old duffers, they're all posh kids, etc., despite the fact that that's not really been quite true for a long time in so many respects. But so the fact that it came from Blair, and then of course the Blair or Brown government commissioned the Brown report, not Gordon Brown, which was designed to look at an increase in tuition fees, which I think came under the Cameron government, but the report was initiated by Gordon Brown previously, where they would have, had Labour won in 2010, they would have also put the fees up as well. So this came from ye old socialists, kids, just remember that.